Hi, welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to show you how I made this obnoxiously bright LED panel. You just have to be careful, don't look directly into it. To start this build, we really only need a handful of supplies here. For all the parts that we're using, I'll put a link in the description as to where you can get them. But starting out, we have our power supply, and this has to match our LEDs. So we're using 12 volt LEDs, so we need a 12 volt power supply. They also make them in 6, 24, so just keep that in mind when you're ordering them. And then make sure it has enough amperage. We're using a 5 amp, which is sufficient for this. And then even though all the LEDs come with, well, not all of them, but in most cases they come with an adhesive on the back, I found that the adhesive loosens up over time, so I always put down either twin stick on the backs of each row. Kind of helps them stick down. And then our LEDs that we're using, on this project we used 50/50 LEDs, and that's just the size of the LED. And then we'll also need our barrel connector, which comes with most LED kits, so you can just trim it or cut it. And then we'll also just need a handful of wire that we can cut down and join our sections. In this case we're using 16 gauge, and that'll be more than sufficient. And then lastly, this is a piece of composite aluminum paneling, which basically means it's a piece of plastic with two pieces of aluminum on each side. And one of the trade names for it is polymetal. It comes in 1/8 or 1/4 inch, and you can get them in a bunch of different colors. Yellow, red, white, black, blue. So this is a panel that we have already made up here, and we end up using 50/50 size chips. Ended up running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 strips at roughly 24 inches each, and then we have them all spaced out roughly 2 inches apart. So all LED strips have these cut lines, and they vary depending on each strip, so that's something to keep in mind when you're ordering them. So these are roughly 2 inches. You can cut them, and here's an example of one that's roughly 2.5 inches. So you can only cut every 2.5 inches or so. When joining the rows, there is a negative and a positive side to each strip, and when linking these, the negative wire needs to go to the negative side and the positive to the positive side. When adding wires onto the ends of strips, I find it's easier to just add a little bit of solder to each of these little copper pads. And in doing so, it makes soldering the wires on a little bit easier. One connection down, probably another 40 more to go. The other thing you can do with these LEDs is, let's say you had cut it too short and you want to add on a section. You can also line up your negative to your negative side again and solder them back together. This is also good too if you you burn out a section, either like damaging it, or you can always repair them instead of throwing out that whole section. Alright, so after taping down all the LEDs, running all the solder connections, soldering in our barrel connector, we're ready to plug it in and try it out. And yeah, the whole panel lights up. It is very bright. So I use mine in the garage to work on cars and stuff. It lights up the engine bay really nice. You could also use them for landing an airplane. I mean, they're obnoxiously bright. So, if you guys want to give this a try, I highly recommend it. It's pretty easy. If you guys haven't subscribed yet and you want to see more of this kind of content, please hit that subscribe button. But until next time, thanks and take care.